We're gonna fix that. Yep, racking up the miles 20 feet at a time. So as I just said, we're gonna fix that. So my buddy's scrapyard, his guys, at some point they flipped the car on its side, and it sat that way for like 6 months. And then right before I bought it, they cut the catalytic converter out of it. Well, on the LX, the non-EX Civics, the catalytic converter is built into the exhaust manifold. That was a resonator. Other than that, it had an intact exhaust system before that. So now I get to try to put this back together, and this is temporary. Eventually I'm going to have exhaust built for it. That's not 1.5-inch pipe. I plan on going 2 inches all the way back, but I plan on putting maybe a cat in it, probably a cat in it. Resonators, mufflers. I want it to be as quiet as possible because I do not want the fart can Honda sound out of a 62 Rambler. So I'm gonna try to get this put back on. I've got an adapter, but I think it's gonna be too big, so we'll see. That doesn't sound too bad. Still kind of sounds like a Honda, but there's no cat and there's no resonator. There's just the one big muffler. Hopefully that smoke will go away. I don't know if there's still a bunch of oil in the pipes and such from when it was on its side. It was hydrolocked with oil when I got it. Anyway, it's just kind of hacked in there. I mean, it's not going to fall off. It's not in any danger of falling off. It's really hard to weld. The factory pipes are stainless steel. And so I don't know if I need special wire for that. I don't really know. Again, I'm not a welder. But it's on there good enough that it's not going to break off. I mean, basically, it's on from the top to the bottom on one side. It's definitely not sealed. I figured I'll go ahead and weld the other half of it when I have it on a lift, when I go to weld the bottom of the rockers together. I'll go ahead and take care of it then. For now, I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit on this dashboard, and then I think I'm going to work on the hood hinges a little bit before I get on the windshield. Okay. So, I accomplished a whole bunch of little things today. Got down in there and welded up that crack. Now, I know you're not supposed to be able to weld cast iron, but I looks like you did a pretty good job. But the idea wasn't to weld it to fix the crack. The idea was to weld it to not have to hear the exhaust escaping through the crack. So got that done. Got the exhaust kind of hacked in there. It's not anything permanent. Worked on this a little bit. That's for another video. So yeah, I'm gonna wheel this thing on in there. I gotta put the hood down. Oh, the hood hinges were a failure. So the corners of the hood back here were hitting the cowl. So I had to dimple it. I'm just gonna take a little bit of filler and rub it in there and smooth it out. But I had to dimple that corner. So then I shortened up the Honda hinges because I thought they would work really well. Problem is that this pivot needs to be all the way at the very farther rearmost spot in the hood. So in this corner. I don't know how that's going to work. I'm going to need something like 2 inches in order to bolt them. So maybe I can put them in here. I don't know. But one thing I considered doing is getting some of this metal that I used on the windows, which I think I'm going to have enough left over. Like this piece here might actually do all of it. And just coming up and welding it to the edge of the hood, cutting it at an angle, drilling a hole in the middle, doing that 4 times, and figuring out where to attach it. So I can't really attach it to the fender, but remember, it has to be at the rearmost corner of the hood. So it'd go here, and then the other piece would be on the hood, and they'd stick up. You put a bolt through them. It'd be great if you could figure out a way to do it with a bushing. I'd probably just kind of round the edges and use like a door pin bushing and a bolt that size. But I would have to weld this. Basically 2 layers of this metal would take up the gap. There wouldn't be any adjustment. I'd have to basically gauge it off of the gap back here. And then, the hood would work. One thing I could do, it's nasty, it's tacky, but it would work. It worked on the golf cart, is put some Jeep CJ hinges on it. Or friggin' gate hinges, really, but it'd be tacky as hell. I would not be happy with it. But I don't know. I don't know what you guys might think. So anyway, that's where we're at for that. I'm not going to worry about the hood right now. I can drive this thing around with the hood latched up front and then ratchet strapped in the back. I mean, that's tacky, but, it'd be safe. Ooh, I just heard something go pop. I wonder if that new weld cracked already. I don't know. I don't see anything. Unless it fried something welding on an engine. I wonder where all that oil's coming from. Not good. I need to get the head gasket done on this. I got so much to do, though, before I can even think about driving it. Oh, man. I don't know if you can tell, but I am not feeling very good. Okay. I'm going to grab the dash, toss it in the back seat. I'm going to mess with that a little bit in here. Need to go grab the HVAC controls. I'm going to wheel it in there, put it up for the night. It's supposed to rain here pretty soon, I think. Anyway, I'll be back in a minute. Okay, real quick. I just wanted to show the CRX heater controls. That's where they're going to sit. I need to slide the console in here to kind of give me an idea of how everything's going to line up and how I need to tie everything together. I figured I'd probably just, these side plates I made, I'd just cover them with vinyl, or I might pad them first. I don't know. But I don't want to talk too much about the dashboard because that is on a separate video. So there's your little sneak peek there. Yeah. Okay, I am going to try to do something with the hood hinges. Spent some time last night thinking about it, and I think there's a few things I haven't tried yet that might work. Part of the problem, one, the pivot point needs to be way the hell back here, and there's a lot of stuff in the way, so that might not come to fruition. The other thing is that drops down so low, I don't think it's going to work either. I'm probably going to be stuck building those hinges out of this stuff. Like a scissor hinge, I don't know what else you'd call it. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I won't work on it today and I'll just give it time to think about. Anyway, I got stuff I can't do though, so. All right, we're running out of light here. So I got this cut out and trimmed. I screwed up and cut this piece out, but the good news is I've got a piece here that'll go back in it. Got the notches cut out for the locks, the latches. The other one fell down there. So first things first, I got everything cut out, and I'm gonna weld in this piece of angle iron, which is just basically a bed frame. It's one of the pieces I had welded in for bracing on the Honda chassis. I'm not worried about strength because the piece I cut out of here wasn't any stronger. It wasn't even as strong. As you can see, there wasn't anything to it. But I need to get that welded in and just all this tacked down. And then that'll let the seats sit. They probably should sit farther back, but I'm not. There has to be a happy medium because I can't have the seats up against the back glass. And there's bracing in here that I can't really mess with, so that needs to get done. And then once the seats are figured out, then I can get in here and I can trim this up, and I can deal with this bracing that bolts on down here and goes up there. I could deal with that, but I had to figure out the seats before I could figure out where I was going to put those. And again, I'm jumping around different jobs, but rather than getting burned out trying to do one thing, I'm going to jump around, and all these things have to be done anyway, so, I mean, this is all forward progress, so that's good. That's good. I may still have to go in here and trim these corners, but I think these will work fine with the corner pieces here. We'll find out. Regardless, I'm going to wheel this thing back in there, and I might see if I can weld that inside the shop there. My fluorescent light burned out somehow. It was working fine last night. Now it doesn't work, but that's one of those $20 Harbor Freight things. Anyway, I'm going to wheel it in and see where we're at. Well, unfortunately, the cables aren't going to reach, and I'm not going to wheel all that out here in the dark and try to weld it, so we can wait till tomorrow. What I am going to do, though, is grab that console and see how it all fits in here. I really wish this light still worked. Urethra, it works. It must have been a bad connection. It was when I bumped the cord, it started working. All right. That fits really well. There's that little filler panel that goes in there, which I think is going to nicely take up that space. I think there's enough space there for it. Yeah. This is working out quite well. I'm pretty happy with it. Excellent. Now, if I could just figure out the steering wheel. That's one thing I would like to do, is figure out a way to mount, I mean, almost any other kind of steering wheel than something like this. I don't want the airbag sitting in there. I don't want to drive it like this. I don't want to cannibalize it down to a skeleton. And above all, I need to keep my controls here. I mean, even if I figured out a way to mount these, like over here maybe, so I can just push them. I don't know how all that would work, because you have the clock spring, and then like in my Jeep, all there was one wire in, one wire out, and each button had its own little resistor in there that was different and told the computer what to do. And this looks like the same setup, so I don't know if there's even any way to make it work outside of that. But I can make this work on another steering wheel. Maybe not cleanly, but it'll work. What I would like to do is figure out a way to put that 61 Rambler steering wheel in here. And what I would say is, I could chop this steering wheel up and weld this to the bottom of the Rambler steering wheel and drill out the hole in the Rambler steering wheel. But this is not steel. This is pot metal. So it might be possible to bolt that steering wheel to this one. Maybe. But that steering wheel's got a lot of dish. This one does too. But putting that on top of that, it's going to bring it out further. Even though I do plan on doing something with the seat tracks in this to move the seat back and down slightly. I don't need to come back very far, but having my shin up against that console there is a problem. Having it back here would be nice. Yeah. But that's in the future. Tomorrow I'm going to weld that piece back here. Yeah, I'll get that chunk welded. And we'll work on that because I can actually achieve that tomorrow. So, like I think I mentioned, Luke had a doctor's appointment today, so I didn't really get anything done. I mean, it was almost 5 o'clock before I got back here to do anything on this. I think it's about 6 now, so realistically, this is only about an hour's worth of work. I didn't touch the hood. I'm not going to touch the hood for a while. I need to think on it and try to figure out what to do. The differences between, like what I did on the golf cart, I used just a CJ7 hood spring. But that hood, you know, had a pretty decent curve to it, but then it also curved down the sides. And so trying to put something in the corner. Hey, Jinx. Jinxie came back for a visit. Hey. Anyway, trying to put something in those curves, then that top part would hit. So it had to be hinged from the top part, which then makes those corners do weird things. So like most car hoods, it comes forward and up the way it works. And that's a lot of engineering that I'm never going to be able to figure out. So then what would need to happen is it would have to hinge on the corners. And this hood is pretty flat. So it could hinge on the corners because when that middle part comes up, it's actually going to lift from the center, so it won't hit anything. And those hoods are looking more and more like what I'm going to have to go with. They'll be exposed. They won't be stainless steel, so they're going to rust. Even if you paint them, they're going to have to be oiled, greased, whatever, so that's going to be there. Yeah, but that's the only way I really see how to make it happen effectively, especially since the pivot point will be above the hood. That means it's going to do this and move up, rather than if it was below the hood, which there's absolutely no space to put. It would tend to push down and back, where then we would probably have interference problems. Jinxie, what's up? Look at this cat. What's up, Jinxie? You want to go inside? Are you trying to tell me that you're cold and now you want to go back inside? I think that's what you're doing. No, don't lose my glasses now. Come on. He's got his motor running. He doesn't purr that often. Look at all that. Look at all that hair coming off of you. You're making a mess. All right, well, that's it for tonight. I'm going in. He's going in. And I'll be out tomorrow to work on that back seat section and get the back seat engineered, completely done. At least that's the plan anyway. I want everything figured out on that back seat before I move forward and get those braces in there. And what the hell? Anyway, that's it for tonight. I'll see you guys tomorrow. A buddy of mine called me up today, asked me if I could give him a hand driving his old dump truck. So no work on the Rambler so far. Driving this little 64 F600. Some gravel loaded. So we'll see what happens. I gotta drive this thing side saddle because there's not enough room for my big fat gut. The brakes don't work very well. I think the boosters, the hydro vac is gone. It's a different experience, let me tell you. Alrighty, people. Sorry for the thin content and short video this week. I really wasn't feeling good Tuesday, so I didn't get a lot done. Barely anything. Wednesday, Luke had a doctor's appointment, so we got a really late start. And I did get a few things done then, but not really enough to support a week's worth of work. And then yesterday, I actually set up to get out there early and get started, but then a good friend of mine called me up and asked me if I can help him haul gravel in his 63 Ford dump truck. And this is kind of one of those things. The truck's not really roadworthy, so it would take somebody that really has, not bragging here, but a mastery of sketchy vehicles to drive it. You know, an understanding of how physics work in an automobile beyond something that is in perfect tune. I mean, it's a good old truck, I'm not going to lie. But, you know, it's an old truck. The hydrovac really wasn't working very well. And it's got a bad hub on it, so the wheel's hub-centric, but the lug nuts won't tighten up all the way, so the wheel's kind of wiggly. But it was literally, we're only going a quarter of a mile. Quarter mile loading up, quarter mile back, quarter mile loading up, you know, back and forth, back and forth. And so my buddy Gabe, you know, he's always helped me out whenever I needed it. And, you know, he has a shop, he has a business, you know, he builds exhausts. He built the exhaust on the, my wrecker on Casper. And, you know, he did an exceptional job. But, you know, he didn't charge a whole lot. He did the head on the Jeep for me. He's probably going to end up doing the head gasket on the Civic and do the exhaust on it. And one of the reasons why I don't do that, I mean, I could rebuild that engine. You know, skill-wise, I could do it in a heartbeat. The problem is I'm afraid that if I start tearing the engine apart, it's going to take me a couple weeks instead of a couple days. And then I'm going to forget where things go and where things go back. And I don't know if that's something going on in here or if it's just part of my regular issues. For the most part, I get 3 hours, maybe 4 hours worth of work done. And then, you know, that's it. I'm done. That's about all I can handle. Like, even driving that dump truck yesterday, it wasn't excruciating. It wasn't a problem. I had to drive sideways because I'm too fat to fit behind the wheel. And, you know, you saw that in the video. So now my right leg is really sore. And I'm not blaming Gabe or anything like that. I knew ahead of time that the stuff was going to. I would do it again. If he calls me and asks me to do it, I'd drop everything and go do it again. So that's not an issue. It's just part of my problem. So, you know, that's usually why Tuesdays I don't get a lot done, because I've kind of got to heal, I guess, from working 4 days. And then Tuesday I kind of take a break. And Tuesdays I don't take any Advil. I take Advil every day except for Tuesdays and Saturdays. It's just kind of give my kidneys a break. So, I didn't get a lot done this week. But I didn't want to leave it and then try to add video to it next week, you know, so take a week off. I don't want to do that. I'm trying to get my watch hours up. I'm this close to being monetized, which doesn't say much. I mean, if I get $50 for a video, that's, you know, $50. So the other thing, the dashboard video. I've kept the dashboard video separate because there's a lot more detail going into it, and I want to present it out there so people can see. I don't want to say how easy it is, because it really isn't easy necessarily. And this application might have been easier than a lot of other applications, but just look at what I've done and see that, you know, it's possible. in varying degrees of skill, whatever. But, you can make an early dashboard work with the late HVAC controls without spending a whole lot of money, without doing a whole lot of stuff. You just got to do a lot of thinking, a lot of consideration. I got some downtime at work. If I physically can't go out there and do a lot of the lifting and squatting and kneeling and all that kind of stuff, bending down, I can't do any of that. But if I'm going to be at the counter helping people, in between people, I can sit there and think. I can look up wiring diagrams. I can my brain is always going. Even when I go to sleep, I don't go to sleep because my brain is always running. That's what happened with the CRV HVAC controls. Everything that I saw looked like it would work. The heater box, heater HVAC box, blower fan, blend door actuators, all that stuff was identical to the Civic. The wiring diagrams that I found weren't very detailed. They were pretty crappy. But what I did find is, like this blue wire, no tracer, goes to the AC compressor relay. Well, it does on both cars. It's a cat. Come on, Jinx. This wire, this color, this tracer does the same thing on both cars. And so I took a chance. I found a CRV controller, and I was able to get the guy to send me the pigtail with it. So I just sat there, took about an hour, and I depinned the Civic, put it into the other way around. I depinned the CRV connector, put the Civic corresponding wire into it, and just did that. And so far everything works. I still have yet to test the compressor part, but without anything in the system, plus I don't think I have a relay. I think that's the one relay that I still need to buy. So given that, that was a success, but we're talking literal hours of thinking and considering and agonizing over it, to the point, I was giving myself a migraine thinking about it, looking up pictures and stuff. So that worked. I was considering, what am I going to do with the middle of the thing? I thought I was going to put the controls in the middle of the dashboard, and I changed my mind and decided, they look better, they fit better under the dash, and I can angle them better. So that worked out. I ended up cutting out the center of the dash. It was radio delete, but the radio delete was just a panel held on with 2 screws, and it didn't look very good. It wasn't very proportional. Like, it didn't cover the entire side. It went up, curved, and then went to the glove box door. It was terrible. And then above that, you had the ashtray, you had the cigarette lighter. I didn't have an ashtray, it's missing. And cigarette lighter, I can do anything with. So that all went away. I just cut it all out, made a piece of metal, bent it, welded it in, done. What's next is I need to get the, what you call outlets, registers, vents, whatever they are, the round, 4 of them go in the dashboard. I need to cut the holes, get them fitted snugly. And then today on my lunch break, or at least this week at work on my lunch breaks, I'm going to try to build a glove box because the original plastic one isn't going to work. And you're going to see all the stuff I'm talking about on the video, but so I'll be doing that over this next week. I'll be coming up with a glove box, because once that's done, then I think we're ready to blast it. And that's, my buddy Gabe always lets me use the sandblaster. He doesn't charge me for it. I'll give him money anyway, because wear and tear on his equipment. A little bit of money because I'm broke, but stuff like that. So he's always let me do that kind of stuff. So I got no problem dropping everything and helping him. So I'll go sandblast the dashboard, get it in etch primer, and then start doing, Bondo up where I welded it and all that kind of stuff. And I don't think it's going to take very much filler. It's pretty pretty flat, actually. I did a pretty good job on that. But, and then there's a spot, where I welded that piece of metal in there to hold the gauge cluster in place. So where the welds are is a little warped. So, fill that. And then maybe around the holes I drill. I don't know if it'll need any touch-up, but, all that's done. There's some pitting in the back part of the dash on the bottom, but I don't think that's going to cause any issues, but I want to blast it off anyway and get it painted. So the dash needs to be painted. I got to finish up the windshield framing, the filler piece. And then I need to also blast all the pieces of tin that go around the windows, top of the doors, that kind of stuff. And get everything ready to go so I can paint the interior. Because once the interior is painted, and then I paint the outside of the window jambs, I can put the windows in. Before any of that, though, I need to finish up where the cowl meets the Honda, the Rambler meets the Honda. On the inside, I need to weld the strips in there, and then I need to fill it with some exterior closed-cell urethane foam that won't cause it to rust and will seal it from vapors. It's not exposed to any moisture, but it'll seal it from vapors. But before I do that, I got to come up with something for the hood hinges because I can't be welding into that foam. So there's still stuff to do, and some things have to be done in steps. Otherwise, I'm just kind of jumping around getting jobs done that need to be done. I do need to finish tying the back of the cars together. Right now, I just got the interior panels tied to the Honda, but I need to finish that rear bulkhead, the frame rails. I'll deal with the bumper brackets later, but I need to get that stuff all tied in. But anyway, next week, probably not going to get a lot in because Wednesday's Christmas. Christy wants to go to Wichita. I'll probably go Tuesday because I won't be feeling great Tuesday usually. We got to go to Wichita and look at countertops for the house. We don't have any money to buy one, but she wants to go look at them. Mama's got to be happy. So Thursday I'll probably get something in. I might get something in on Wednesday, but it's going to be another lean week, and I might just drop the dashboard video because I've got part 1 done. So anyway, that's it for this week. Thanks for hanging in there. Please like, subscribe, watch the videos, watch more of the videos if you can. I'm almost there. I just need to get a lot more people to watch stuff, a lot more watching. So take care.